Yo, the Yates and Matthew Berry from Fantasy Focus Football Headquarters. And Matthew, I know you've been looking forward to this one since probably April. Rams 49ers, baby.
Yeah, you know what I'm doing? Let me tell you what I'm doing right here. I'm applauding fantasy football. That's right, because everyone out there are people out there that are anti-fantasy football. There are people out there that want to, mock the game that we love. But I'll tell you why fantasy football is important. Rams. I'll tell you exactly why, America. Rams 49ers on Thursday night. You know why you watch that game? Fantasy football. Like, that's it. That's the reason. 2 words, fantasy football. That's the only people watching that game are Mama Shanahan, Mama McVay, and fantasy football owners of people like Todd Gurley and Carlos Hyde.
So let's get right into it then. Let's start with the Rams, and we'll start with Todd Gurley, Matthew. He has had a blistering start to the season. Can the volume keep up in the passing game, do you believe?
I believe so, as they establish themselves. Look, he's a better pass catcher than you realize in terms of Todd Gurley. And Sean McVay is somebody that is looking around like he's a smart offensive mind, and I don't think it takes a genius to say, you know what, when we're our best? When we get the ball into our most talented players' hands. And so obviously Todd Gurley is one of those guys, and so I think they want to continue to find different ways to get him the ball and let him touch it. So you're starting Todd Gurley here. I think Cooper Kupp is a wide receiver 3 this week in PPR.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I know he struggled somewhat against the Redskins, had a nice game in week 1 here. San Francisco doesn't particularly scare me. And I do think they'll try to load the box against Gurley. So I think you could see Cooper Kupp, who, despite not having a great game in week 2, Jared Goff continued to look for. And that late game interception was because he only had eyes for Kupp.
A couple of flags for me on Kupp, and I'll pivot this into Sammy Watkins in a second, is that he's played less than 60% of the offensive snaps, has Cooper Kupp. And the 49ers, very quietly, have yet to allow a 200-yard passer in a game so far this season. Yes, it was against Seattle and Carolina in week 1, but they've been fairly stingy against the pass. Sammy Watkins, a player whose ability is unquestioned. He's caught all of his targets this year. The problem is his 2-game outlook, or his 2-game stat line, would be okay in 1 game. 7 catches, 88 yards. Don't have a ton of confidence in any Rams wide receiver.
Certainly not, especially not on a short week traveling. The game is in San Francisco. I don't love traveling teams on Wednesday. The only thing is because of San Francisco's strength in the passing game, it's why I do think Kupp, again, only in PPR. He's not a standard, and it would have to be like a wide receiver 3, if you a kind of guy there. But I do think you'll see like a number of dump offs, like a poor man's Jarvis Landry, if you will, in this game from Cooper Kupp.
Let's flip to the San Francisco side of things, Matthew, and talk about Carlos Hyde, who has been terrific for this team. But the only thing that's worked so far offensively for the 49ers.
Yeah, he's been as good as advertised. We heard that in the preseason, Carlos Hyde had a new attitude. Yeah. Showed up in better shape, wanting to prepare himself for the rigors of being a running back in the NFL. Had a different attitude. Sort of like all the preseason, Matt Breida, Joe Williams rumors kind of, realized Carlos had to, maybe change his tune a little bit. And honestly, he's done exactly that. And he's been nothing short of fantastic. When you can go on the road at Seattle and dominate the way he did, yeah, Carlos Hyde, I think, is a must-start.
Great to see him in the passing game this year, more so than any other season before. Lastly, Pierre Garçon, sort of a slow start so far, just 9 catches for him. He's been somewhat of a target monster, though. I think better days are ahead for Garçon because right now it's only him in the passing game. Been a very slow start for San Francisco's offense. Brian Hoyer, perhaps unnoticed. Time to get things going. San Francisco, Los Angeles, the buzz, it's palpable from 3,000 miles away in Bristol, Connecticut.